You've probably heard the term green building thrown around a lot, but what does it actually mean? Is it just about slapping some solar panels on the roof? Well, it's a lot more than that. Today, we're going to decode the language of sustainable architecture and look at the official systems that separate the truly green from the, well, not so green. Right, so let's start with the big question. What really makes a building green? It's not just a vibe or a coat of green paint. It's about how that building performs in the real world, from its very foundation all the way to its roof. At its heart, a green building is a high-performance machine. Think of it this way. It's designed to be lean and efficient. It uses less water, it's optimized for energy efficiency, it conserves natural resources, and it generates less waste. But here's the part that's absolutely crucial for us. It also provides healthier, more comfortable spaces for the people living and working inside. Okay, so to measure all this stuff, we need a yardstick, right? We have official rating systems for that. First up, let's talk about India's very own national standard, GRIHA. GRIHA. It's a bit of a mouthful. It stands for Green Rating for Integrated Habitat Assessment. This is India's official national rating system, and it was developed by the Energy and Resources Institute, also known as TERI. You can think of it as the homegrown benchmark for green building in the country. Now, what makes GRIHA so interesting is its whole philosophy. It's not some rigid, one-size-fits-all system imported from somewhere else. No, it's specifically designed for India's incredibly diverse climates, from the Himalayas down to the coasts. A huge piece of this is its focus on passive solar architecture, which is a smart way of saying you design the building to work with the sun, not against it, to help keep it cool or warm naturally. So how does it score? Well, it's all based on a pretty straightforward 5-star system. To get on the board, a building needs between 25 and 40 points for a 1-star rating. But to really hit the top, to get that coveted 5-star rating, a project has to rack up 86 points or more. Okay, so that's India's homegrown hero. But there's a huge global player in this space that you've probably heard of. Let's talk about LEED. LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And if GRI is the national champion, LEED is the undisputed international heavyweight. It is, by far, the most widely used and recognized green building rating system on the entire planet. So let's put them head-to-head for a second. GRHI, born in India, tailored for local climates, and it uses that 1 to 5-star scale. LEED, on the other hand, comes from the US, acts as a global benchmark, and has 4 levels: certified, silver, gold, and platinum. For anyone building in India, this choice really matters. GRHI's local know-how might be more practical, while LEED offers that global stamp of approval, which can be a huge deal for big companies or projects looking for international eyes. Let's dig into those LEED levels. So, a project needs 40 to 49 points just to get in the door with a certified rating. But to reach that top tier, platinum, you've got to earn 80 or more points. And here's the takeaway. It's not just about a fancy plaque. More points genuinely mean a greener, better performing building. So far, we've been talking about voluntary systems, ratings you choose to go for. But there are also rules you have to follow. In India, the big one is the Energy Conservation Building Code, or ECBC. And this is maybe the most important thing to get about the ECBC. It is not a suggestion, it is not an award, it's a code, which means it's the law. This is mandatory. So the Energy Conservation Building Code, or ECBC, does exactly what its name says. Its job is to set the absolute minimum energy standards for new commercial buildings. Now, this doesn't apply to every single shop. It's for larger buildings with a connected load of 100 kilowatts or more. And there are levels here too. Every single building that qualifies must be ECBC compliant. That's the baseline. But for projects that want to go further, there's ECBC Plus, which means you're 20% more efficient than the law requires. And then there's the top tier, Super ECBC, for buildings that are an incredible 50% more efficient. Now, while GRIHA, LEED, and the ECBC are the big 3, they're not the only ones in the game. You've also got the Indian Green Building Council, or IGBC. What they do really well is offer specific ratings for all kinds of buildings, because let's face it, a hospital has very different needs than a factory. There's also the Green and Eco-Friendly Movement, or GEM, which has its own rating system. Okay, so now that we know the systems, let's quickly decode some of the jargon they all use. What are the key metrics they're actually measuring?
First up is the Energy Performance Index, or EPI. The absolute easiest way to think about this is like a car's mileage, but for a building. It tells you how much energy the building uses per square meter over an entire year. And just like with a car, the lower the number, the better the performance.
Next, there's the Life Cycle Assessment, or LCA. This one is huge. It looks at a building's total environmental footprint from cradle to grave. That means it starts with getting the raw materials out of the ground, goes through construction, covers its entire life of operation, and ends with its eventual demolition. It's the whole story. All right, here's a question for you. Have you ever been walking on a hot summer day, you step out of a shady park and onto a city street, and bam, you feel that wave of heat hit you? Well, what you're feeling is something called the heat island effect. All that concrete and asphalt in our cities just soaks up and radiates heat. Green buildings actively fight this with really smart solutions, like using cool roofs that reflect sunlight, installing beautiful green roofs covered in plants, or just planting more trees to create shade. Okay, time for a quick pop quiz to see if you've been paying attention. First one, what's the highest possible certification level that LEED gives out? If you said platinum, you are spot on. That's the top prize for projects that score 80 or more points. Nicely done. All right, last question for you. Which government body was responsible for launching the IGBC, that mandatory energy code, here in India? And the answer is the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, or BE. They're the ones setting that all-important energy baseline for commercial buildings across the country. So, there you have it. From voluntary star ratings to mandatory laws, that's how we measure what makes a building truly green. And that leaves us with a final big question to think about. As our cities keep growing and growing, which of these systems, the local, the global, or the legal, do you think will be the one to truly shape the skyline of tomorrow?